Hey, North Fellows, Robert here. Most people can't really put a finger on what's eating up their time. When I moved out of the city to go live in a rural town with an actual intention of not returning to the city, I discovered so much more than what was eating up my time. Of course, we can't compare life in a big city like Nairobi with a small rural town, but that's the idea. I will be sharing some of my experiences, but that's coming up shortly. My schedule was planned just like the way I used to plan it in the city, waking up at 4 a.m. But this time, fast to the sound of roosters and birds singing beautifully. I almost took out my phone to record the beautiful music. But I was unmoved. I was focused to the task ahead, just like the way the city had taught me. So by 6 a.m., I had already gone through a spiritual devotional guidebook. I had gone through the emails and social media updates, and to the task of the day, I had already drawn a structure for a chicken house I needed to build that day, which was the major work of the day. So by 6:30 a.m., I was ready to hit the road and had my tea in my portable cup already. First, I needed to rush to the town center to get some supplies from the hardware store that I needed. And I got there at 7:30 a.m. and not a single store was opened until an hour later. So I sat there in my car, slowly sipping my tea, wondering why most people were not up and running. It felt like one of those religious holidays in Islam or Hindi that catch busy working Christians by surprise, and they have no idea what to do with a free day, and so they end up showing up at the office anyway. An hour later, I got all the items that I needed, and by 9:30 a.m., I was already breaking ground working on the hatchery. Now, with other two hands that I had employed that day, the work was done by 1 p.m., way ahead of the planned 2 days of work. It felt like I had bonus hours in the day. I was never used to projects being completed this fast. I mean, there was so much time, we had so much time to discuss random topics with the guys who were helping around over lunchtime with absolutely no hurry at all. Now, with that experience, I did not see the need to be hiring more hands every now and then unless it was really necessary. So this time I would work on a project and within no time it was done. At some point I just needed a little help and had more time even to record the projects as I did them. As it will turn out, most of my afternoons will be spent watching and enjoying some young Morans making good use of their time, singing and enjoying themselves. So how will the same project be done in the city? I will pick an actual project I did in the city. When I was an intern at a city church, there was a time in one of the strategy meetings, it was proposed that a door was needed by the preaching pastor to use it as a prop. And so the task and the responsibility of ensuring that there was a door was bestowed on me. For the door project to happen and be availed as required, I first needed to make and put in a requisition with the finance team so that money will be available in time, and that was to be done 2 weeks in advance. So I did put in the requisition. The second thing was required that I look for 3 quotations from 3 different suppliers. A few days later, a mail response from the head of finance would indicate that there was no projected plan in the budget projections done by our department earlier in the year, which basically meant there was no money allocated for such props during the budget planning. That kicked in frustrating threads of email, writing to my head of department to respond to the head of finance to work out on their budget projections and where additional money would come from. You can't even begin to imagine how depressing a situation is for an intern to lead conversation between senior heads of departments with immediate supervisor and the procurement officers copied in, and their only response is well received or well noted. And the days were fast approaching. And that will not be the last frustrating email. The procurement officer will still chip in and point out that the 3 quotations gotten from earlier suppliers are not pre-qualified with the organization. Money will be eventually availed on a Friday afternoon with only a Saturday in between before Sunday when the preacher will need to use his door prop. Now, that's a weekend, and the pre-qualified suppliers don't open shop on a weekend. So, as an intern, I will perform a miracle and the preacher will have his door prop on Sunday. There is something that could have been done differently. Emails don't do the job. It's the people who do the job. We'll continue these episodes again next week, but for now, thanks for watching.